Okay, I can do Illinois.
What up, Big Ten backers? We are live. We got Vegas Matt on the show. What is up, buddy? How you been doing?
Doing all right, sir. How about you?
Filling in again, doing
Yes,
the
sir.
betting. I'm doing well. We're gonna get to some March Madness betting. You know, it's Sweet 16, so we got to talk about it, right? There is no choice. But first, we got to get into some drama around the Big Ten. All right, man, it's like the AD carousel. First, we had the coaching carousel. Now it's the AD carousel. So we got Ohio State first gets Texas A&M AD Bjork, and A&M goes and steals a Big Ten AD Trev Alberts from Nebraska. Then it's from his alma mater, and then they go get their man Troy Denon from Washington. So Washington's like, all right, we gotta get in this drama too. So let's go steal our rivals. Man, Wazoo is like that prison bitch. Just can't keep the soap from hitting the floor, man. They just keep getting it, keep getting it, keep getting it, and it's all coming from the Big Ten. All that is coming from the Big Ten. Let's run this down. What they've lost, man. First, they lost their conference to basically the Big Ten conference. They were the one that caused it. Then what happens next? Yeah, they lose their coach to a, you guessed it, Big Ten school. Jonathan Smith is out to Michigan State. Then they lose their quarterback because he's like, yo, I'm going to follow my man, my coach. Aiden Childs goes. And along with some other players and coaches, now their fucking AD goes to Washington, now a Big Ten school. The Big Ten is really sticking it to the Beavers, man. I mean, sticking it to her. And I know that's ironic, and they are doing it. What do you think about that, man? You got anything on that?
Yeah, first off, we gotta go Washington State, bro. Washington State here. So looking at their week, they have had a pretty awful week. When you look on Monday, they had Kyle Smith, their basketball coach, jet out, go to Stanford. So that was kind of a big shot to them. They obviously had a decent run in the tournament, but they haven't had much recently. And then on Wednesday, you see their AD Pat Chung, highly touted athletic director, was really doing well there. You see him bounce and go to the University of Washington. So not only did the University of Washington jump to the Big Ten, leaving their sister school WSU hanging, but now they took their up and coming athletic director. So, just looking at rivalries, this is certainly one that's kind of up there. Two
Mm-hmm.
schools don't really care about each other all that much, meaning that they dislike one another. But the fact that UW was able to snag the AD from Washington State really stung the Cougars.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't explain that correctly. I meant the Big Ten was really just screwing the what's left of the Pac-12, right?
Fair enough.
In
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
Washington State and Oregon State. I mean, they're just both getting screwed like a prison bitch. And I didn't really explain that myself well,
No,
so I
no, my
confused you a little
apologies.
bit there.
Yeah,
But anyway, man, it's just crazy what's happening.
it
Crazy.
is, and unfortunately, Washington State and Oregon State, you've been relegated. You are now in the
Mm-hmm.
realm of the group of six, and this is what happens with the really good group of six teams. You get that up and coming coach, you get that up and
Mm-hmm.
coming AD, and a
Yeah.
Power Four school is going to poach it. And unfortunately, this is a world these two schools have not lived in. And now,
Sure.
unfortunately, with the budget restraints of being in a lower tier conference, they're going to have to get used to this reality, and they're just not used to it yet.
Yeah, and it's a shitty reality to get used to, man. I feel bad for both those schools, but I mean, money talks, and it's really talking now because all these people are leaving both these schools to collect a bigger paycheck, right? To get that prestige. If you're working your way up the corporate ladder, you don't do it at a team that's getting relegated, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a path here. Let's play out a couple scenarios. One, I think the Mountain West does have some good teams in it. Now, I don't know if I call them Power
Sure.
Four level, but Boise State's growing both in population and with their football program.
I
San
like
Diego.
that you use that Power Four reference. Yeah,
Yeah, you,
we
you,
changed
you
it.
called me
That's
out on it last week, so I got to
that's
have
our terminology.
it is
By
patent,
our, I mean
patent
mine.
pending. Patent pending. But you've got some of these Mountain West teams I think that can grow and develop. Another interesting fact is you have the ACC and what's going to happen there. You got the Florida State lawsuit, you got the Clemson lawsuit. If you see the ACC implode, you now have Stanford and Cal back in play. You maybe rope those two schools back into this quasi Mountain West, rope them with Boise State, San Diego State. I think they could turn something out of nothing. They'd have to be very strategic, have to have a good TV deal in place. They're already going to be with the CW for their football games coming in the fall. Not the best network to be on, but it is a network deal. And I'll tell you right now, more eyeballs will see the CW in 2024 than the Pac-12 network. So they're already moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and the Pac-12 couldn't finalize a TV deal with more schools, and then all of a sudden they have two, and now they finalize the network? That's odd.
Well, the Apple deal was heavily favoring Apple. It was largely subscription-based, but nobody has the Pac-12 network. I live in Seattle. I don't have the Pac-12 network. Nobody could watch these games. It was a terrible deal. You know, the Big Ten network did it exactly right. The Pac-12 network did exactly wrong. So
absolutely. All right, man. Dominic Ambrose says, "What's up, fellas? What up, Dominique?
Hey, Dominique.
Thanks for coming on here and joining us, bud. All right. Well, we promised some March Madness, some round ball, so let's get into it. But first, I got to tell you about what's coming up next. We got some Big Ten quickies. We are going to be talking about college football, NFL, and XFL kickoff a little later on in the show, probably at the end of the show. But we got to get into that round ball, man. What's hot right now?
What's hot is, you know, we're staring down Sweet 16, and you know, as we're recording this on a Thursday, I know a lot of y'all are probably going to hear it either tonight or on Friday morning. We got the 3-seed Illinois Illini taking on the 2-seed Iowa State Cyclones. Very interesting. You had this line close at -1 in favor of Iowa State, so an incredibly tight game, almost a pick 'em here. You had an over-under at 148.5. So tell me where you're leaning, what you're feeling on this game, Beef.
The Illini back in the Sweet 16. This blew my mind, the statistics. For the first time since 2005, almost 20 years, man. Illini have been a staple of the Big Ten, really, in basketball. I mean, it's going to be a great game. Tough D for Iowa State, but versus an experienced Illini team. And, I go experience all the way with, especially nowadays when there's a lot of one-and-dones, people are leaving quick. So that experience really means a lot, and Illini's got it. My bracket, I took Iowa State, unfortunately, so I'm going to stick with my pick. I'll be rooting for the Illini like crazy. I'll be rooting for them, but I'm going with my pick. I'm sticking with it, the Cyclones. I got them winning this.
I got to lean the other way. I think if you really watched a lot of Saturday, Sunday ball, you know, the round of 32 last week, you saw a lot of fun upsets Thursday and Friday. We all really enjoyed it. But when those teams got to the second round, the Oaklands, the Grand Canyons, these other 12 seeds, Yales, they looked like they shouldn't even be on the same court as the team they were facing. It was sloppy. It was ugly. I know that NC State game went to overtime, but anyone watched that NC State-Oakland game in overtime? Oakland couldn't even – they were fumbling the ball left and right. It was insane.
Clinton for president. This person had some good comments. I got to stop you here. Where is Vandy Clit? This person's watching for Vandy Clit. Vandy Clit is on another show. We are on the Dogs Network with them. So Clinton for president.
I do recall him being around a month ago. Yeah. Where you been?
Yeah, Clinton? we want to know about you.
We need
Clinton,
more.
Clinton for president, man. You had an awesome comment. You said something about the beeve last time. I'm the beeve, and I can't remember what it was. Like, I want the beeve to sit on my face or something along those lines.
It was definitely sexually explicit. I can say that.
Yeah.
I can't recall it exactly, but you'll have to remind us. Hey, Sydney.
All right.
But
Sydney Bernstein says hi, guys.
I'll sneak it in quick. I like the Illini here. I think they have.
You would sneak it in quick.
Yep. They have stars on the court. I think Iowa State's a really good defensive team that plays well against Washington State. It doesn't play well against Illinois. I like Illinois. I like the Big Ten rolling here. Yeah,
man, I'll be rooting for them, but I'm going to put my money on the Cyclones.
Fair enough, sir.
We got another Big Ten game we got to get to, right?
Absolutely. In this one, the next four we'll be covering will be games that will be tipping off on Friday, March 29th. But the game tipping off there is number 5, the 5th seed Gonzaga Bulldogs taking on the number 1 seed Purdue Boilermakers. Right now, you're seeing that line kind of hovering. I've seen some books at -6. I've seen some books -5. Consensus tends to be -5.5. And I think you're seeing that line. It's a very interesting game. You're seeing two of the hottest teams in the tournament come here. Look at what Gonzaga did. They dismantled Kansas last week. I mean, dismantled them, won by 21 points. Purdue is looking like a team that got beat by a 16 seed last year. And what I mean by that is they are very pissed off and they're playing like it. So you're seeing two very hot teams here. What's your read?
Before I get into that, we got Sydney Bernstein saying Florida State got hosed. I'm guessing that's from football. Roll Tide tonight. And that game is on right now, so it's 36-31 and about 6 minutes left in the first half. So not a bad take. Not a bad take at all. So speaking back to Purdue, let's go straight to those Boilermakers, man. Purdue, Zach Edey, got bounced last year by a 16 seed. Only the second time that's ever happened, a 1 seed has lost to a 16 seed. The Boilermakers, I got them going all the way, baby. But Gonzaga's been a mainstay in the Sweet 16. This is the 9th consecutive season. I still remember when Gonzaga used to be considered a Cinderella, dude. I mean, and now they're just like, they're a staple. They're a staple of the Sweet 16. March Madness is Gonzaga. All right?
Yes.
But Zach Edey going to take them down. They learned a hard lesson last year, and they're going to be prepared. They're going to be well-oiled machine, man.
I agree.
Plus, I mean, if you're 7-4, you should win every single game.
He is, and I've heard knocks on him. The guy is pretty athletic. He has a nice, mid to low range jump shot. I think it is. And this is where, again, with Purdue, you just don't know what Purdue you're going to get in March. We've seen being bounced in the first round multiple.
The boys are back.
Oh, Sunbelt Syndicate.
Sunbelt, yeah.
Wow. Speaking of 12 seeds that completely crumbled last weekend, your JMU boys looked like they did not belong in the same universe as Duke. I was really rooting for the Dukes. I wanted a great game there. Not going to happen. But you know what? Right now, you kind of see this collision course, and I think you could see it where Purdue, UConn, national championship game. That would be a heck of a national championship game.
Oh, yeah. UConn's on fire, man. They just
absolute fire.
They
just
the team.
They just won by 30
it was tonight. If this was Little League, it would have been a run rule. I mean, they would have go over.
But they're doing that to everybody. I mean, they're in the Sweet 16 winning by 30 points. And granted, it's San Diego State.
Crazy.
San Diego State played in the national championship last year. They're just rolling. And that's when a game like this, Gonzaga, Purdue, I say you got two incredibly hot teams. I don't know where that's playing out. I look at an over here. You've got Gonzaga 7th in the nation in scoring, Purdue 12th in the nation in scoring. I see a knockdown, drag out, close game both ways, which tends to lead to an over when you see it like that. So I really.
Boiler up, baby. Give me Purdue.
All right. Wow. Interesting.
Oh, man, that Alabama North Carolina game is looking like it's going to be a good one.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I got the Guardians home opener or season opener on, so you're going to have to give me college. Yeah.
You would.
Yeah. Opening day, Major League Baseball. Come
Guardians. On. What kind of mascot name is that?
Honestly, it comes from.
Are they the mascot of the Space Force?
No, it comes from we have a bridge.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Leading into Cleveland. It has the 4 Guardians of Transportation. It's a very famous bridge if you've ever been to Cleveland. And quite honestly, at this point in 2022, when you're renaming a team, there's not a lot of options left. We really didn't want to pick Wildcats or Cougars or something like that. So you're kind of limited on your choices. So they went with that one.
The Guardians.
It is what it is, man.
The Cleveland baseball team is what they should have done. Pull one out of the Redskins.
I kind of like it. Old school. It's like English soccer where they just don't even really have a name. They just go city,
Yeah,
football club,
whatever
whatever.
club. All
Yeah.
right, Dominique Ambrose has the Zags over Purdue. I mean, I can't blame you for that pick. I just think Purdue's going to win this.
Listen, I don't think either is wrong, and even taking the plus 5.5, I could see this being a close game. So you saying you take Gonzaga with the points?
Absolutely.
That's a very logical pick. But again, when you see tight games, you tend to see tight games, hit the over because you need both teams to score. Where the games hit a lot of the unders is that team that's winning by 18 with 8 minutes to go, and that other team missing a bunch of shots, can't catch up. The other team's draining the clock. You tend to see a lot of unders that way.
Well, before we get going on, there was the other game that we didn't talk about with Arizona and Clemson, which Clemson snuck that one out. I mean, it was a relatively close game. What is that, 5 points?
Yeah, but predominantly Clemson led the entire game for the most part. They were up by 8 at halftime. Arizona came out in the second half, had a crazy run. They went up by 1. Clemson went back ahead, and they never looked back.
And if we would have done this earlier, I would have picked Arizona all the way.
Absolutely, but you know what's you go back to our show from last Tuesday. I was making fun of you because their opening round game against New Mexico. New Mexico was the favorite. Remember, they were the 60 playing the 11 seed Lobos. New Mexico was a favorite. Everybody was picking New Mexico. I was picking New Mexico. And now you're seeing Clemson. You're seeing Clemson in the Elite Eight. So good on them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think Clemson's ever been to a Final Four. And might not even have been to an Elite Eight. Something's telling me that is the case, at least. If anyone else remembers this, let me know.
Yeah. If we can get some comments. We can get some comments in the chats. I'd love to get some clarity if we got any ACC backers out there. But that's kind of what's been nice recently, at least last year. When you look at the Final Four, you saw San Diego State and you saw Florida Atlantic. Now the fact is they both played each other, but that was a buzzer beater game. It was a heck of a game. You like this with college basketball. Some of these schools that you don't get to see a lot or hear a lot, when it's straight chalk or straight blue bloods, it gets pretty boring there. So good on Clemson.
It's cool to have a lower seed jump in. I mean, I know they weren't terribly low, but at least it's not a 1 or a 2, And NC State is the other one that we could possibly get later on.
Possibly, yeah. They've really
been hot, man. I guess we'll go to that. We might as well talk about them, right?
Yeah, we might as well. Let's get into that. The first tip-off tomorrow, you got the 11-seed NC State Wolfpack taking on the 2-seed Marquette Golden Eagles. You got Marquette minus 6.5, and right now you're seeing an over-under at 151.5. So where's your feel on this one?
Oh, man, I bet AJ's got to be ready for this. He lives right down the street from Marquette. So Marquette, 7 straight wins. It was NC State was 7 straight wins, 5 in the ACC tournament. And they don't turn over the ball, man. They're holding on to their balls like they're Michael Jackson. Going back to North Carolina empty, though. Their luck runs out, and I'm going to go with Marquette.
Same here. Full disclosure, I go pretty heavy on Marquette. I had them in my Final Four. I thought they were a hot team. Nice. Shoot the ball really well from three-point land. And I know NC State won convincingly in overtime against Oakland. Up until that point, they were. I mean, I'm sitting there texting you saying you got to turn on this game, last weekend because it was so intense. And they did pull away at the end, but Oakland literally fumbled the ball, more times than Mario Cristobal trying to take a kneel. But it was so bad that NC State ended up winning pretty convincingly, but that score did not justify what was going on. So, yeah.
Oh, first time Elite Eight. First time since 1980. 44 years. Holy cow. Thank you, Dominique. We needed that. I knew it was something it's been a while. All right. Have they been to a Final Four? Can you Google that for us? Or if you already know, let us know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Since 1980.
I think we're both kind of on the same page here. Maybe the magic runs out with NC State. I am curious to watch that line tomorrow. If you start seeing that line creep -7, -7.5, you start getting those Sharps vibe, the public vibe that maybe the luck's run out, but we'll see.
No Final Four ever for Clemson. Dominique
All right.
coming with the
No,
juice,
thank you,
baby.
Dominique.
Keep
I
bringing it.
appreciate it. And you know, honestly, it would be cool to see. Unfortunately, they're probably going to take on, yeah, probably going to take on UNC if that becomes the case. So I really don't. UNC or Alabama. So
And that is close. 49-44 with a minute 41 left in the first half. So
yeah,
that's shaping up to be a good game so
it
far.
is. Well, if we're going to talk Tar Heels, let's transition to talking their adversaries, the Duke Blue Devils. That is the third tip off tomorrow. The four
Hey
seed
man,
Duke
wait.
Blue
I got
Devils.
I got to finish a little bit about Bama, man. They score a lot. 91
Oh,
points per game, third most threes in the nation, but play absolutely zero defense. Mark Sears, sorry. He's averaging 21.4 points a game. So they score a lot. And I'm thinking because of that lack of defense, North Carolina pulls away in the second half. So one of my predictions you'll be able to see in the next hour or two. All right,
I
moving
mean,
right along. Let's go with you.
yeah, we can. Well, we'll transition to that third tip off. The four seed Duke Blue Devils are taking on the one seed Houston Cougars. And you're seeing Houston at -4.5, and you're seeing an over under at 134.5. So, what's your thoughts on this one?
Houston, you said -4.5.
Correct. Sorry.
Oh man.
Had some
So
dental work
they
for today, man. So my mouth's not moving the right way. It's only about 75% working.
Yeah, well, that's all I'll need. So keep your mouth open 75%. We're good to go. All right, man. Duke versus Houston. Houston had to score triple digits last game against A&M. And, man, I had JMU here. So thanks a lot, Sunbelt Syndicate, for
Yeah.
jinxing that for me with their. Man, they fired off a video just going at it hard. The Dukes are beating the Duke team. And it was a pretty good video. You should go check it out on Sunbelt Syndicate. They have Facebook, and you can do it on TikTok, where you like to do your social media. So Houston, they're a top defense at holding people to 56.7 points per game. I know they didn't do that against the Aggies. They let them score 95 in overtime. But I'm still going
That
with
was
Houston. That defense takes down Duke.
I mean, first off, that overtime game against A&M, four of their five starters fouled out. So you
Yeah,
kind of got to take that one and throw it by the wayside. That's not your top five starters. That's not your defense. But they
four
are,
of their five. That's it. Four of their five starters.
yeah, just that. I
Wait a
mean,
second. Marquette guard DJ Burns, 6'9", 275.
no, the Burns plays for NC State. He was the big,
Oh, how does I was all
yeah.
right? Marquette guard. I couldn't put two and two together. How does Marquette, guard DJ Burns, 6'9", 275. All right.
I mean, I look at it.
6'9", 275 guard. That's NBA measurements right there.
No, I think he's asking how do you
Yeah.
guard this person?
How do you exactly? That's
You know what? In college basketball, the answer around something like that is pretty straightforward. Get them in foul trouble early. With the
yeah.
5,000 college basketball, you see it be a major factor. I would be driving to the lane early. I'd be trying to get them 2,000 the first 8 minutes. I'd be having them sitting on the bench for the majority of the time. That's how you guard them.
Man, I didn't know he was 6'9", 275. Thanks. Dominic's bringing all kinds of juice
He is,
today, man.
man.
And
Kudos, man.
in my defense, I am not like a really huge college football fan. I'm a March Madness fan for sure, but college basketball fan. I'm a huge college football fan, and that's why we got into this podcast. Our love of the game is college football, but we're going to cover March Madness for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We can at least
6'9",
talk betting
275.
angles, things to hit on with March Madness, but you all come here for the fall season to hear the sports betting in regards to college football. But it's nice to hit on it a couple weeks a year.
It's nice to hit on something, right? Not anymore, man.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Those days are over.
Those days are
Anyway,
long gone, sir.
man, you know what we haven't done? We haven't paid any bills yet. So it is time to get it spicy up in here. We got Dano's seasoning coming your way. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some.
Dano seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa!
Joe,
Hey.
we all know you're the best.
What?
But you can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Yes,
It's
sir.
spicy now, so let's go. You got any more b-ball action, any more round ball we got to talk about before we get into a little bit of this college football drama?
Yeah, we got one more, and this one's going to be, in reference to Dano's, this one's going to be a pretty spicy one. You got the 3 seed Creighton Blue Jays taking on the 2 seed Tennessee Volunteers. This is probably going to be one of your closer matchups of the night. You've seen Tennessee minus 2.5, which I think is a little odd given how hot Creighton has been in the tourney and leading up to it.
Yeah.
In an over-under at 143.5. So given the spread, given the over-under, where are you leaning?
Hey, man, give me those Vols, man. First time in the Final Four in history starts tonight. They are 13-0 when Jonas Adu scores 14 points. So watch for that tonight. He's getting his 14 points. The Vols are going to the Elite Eight, man. Give me it.
Full disclosure, I picked them in the championship in my bracket. Now, my brackets typically suck, so don't take a lot into that. I still have all my Final Four intact. However, I think Creighton's playing really great basketball at the moment. 33rd in the nation in scoring, 8th in the nation in three-point attempts. Everyone's heard the last 2 weeks knows I love that stat. So I'm actually going to take the points. I'm actually hoping it gets up to the +3 and taking the Blue Jays, even though Tennessee may win. If you give me that +3, it's a nice little cover just in case.
There you are. Vols by 3, Andrew Anderson says. Andrew was here for a lot of our last show, man. He was making comments. He was bringing it like Dominique's bringing it tonight.
Yes, we appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right. Are we ready to get from the round ball into the football?
Absolutely.
All right, bro. I got one. We got to watch, man. All right. This is the proposed kickoff. Kirby Smart says it is coming to college football. It's in the NFL. Just from the start, look at how this formation looks. Can you see that right now? I got it up on stage. Yeah. All right. So you see where people are lined up, right? It might look weird to some people might already know about this that are watching.
Why don't you outline a little bit so our podcasters and everyone can hear it as well?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and explain exactly, the rules for fair catch and everything like that, or if the ball rolls into the end zone, because you got that shit down. All right.
Yeah, sure. So first off, just so everyone's aware,
that
what we're
lineup.
talking about is the XFL kickoff rules. So the
XFL.
kickoff team, the kicker itself, will still be kicking from their own 30-yard line. So the kicker is going to stay in the same place that they have always been kicking from. Yes.
Yep.
The difference that you're seeing is kickoffs will be at the 35. I do apologize. But what you're seeing is the actual kickoff team, the 10 remaining players on the field, are going to be lined up in the opposing team's 35-yard line. However, the receiving team will have 9 to 10. This is where strategy comes into play, lined up at their own 30-yard line. So if you're watching this, you see a kicker all the way back on his own 35. You're seeing the rest of the kickoff team on the 35-yard line, and you're seeing the receiving team on their 30-yard line, meaning they are 5 yards apart. And that is important because, one, that is the true sentiment of this rule. That's what they're trying to accomplish. Instead of these
protect the players.
Yeah, instead of them running 40, 50-yard dashes at top speed, they're now making contact at 5 yards. Much less contact in the grand scheme of things. So that's
I know this looks weird as fuck, man. It looks really weird, and it's gonna be hard, really, to get it going from the start. But man, oh yeah, here we go. Weird, but whatever. Kickoff can do whatever. Let's just bring football back. I'm with you, Andrew.
Amen, Andrew.
But listen, I enjoy it. I do really enjoy this because I think you're actually going to get some returns. When's the last time you seen a kicked return for a touchdown in a major game? It doesn't happen much. I mean, like 40% of the time or more, they're doing, fair catch. So now they're actually getting a little bit penalized for a fair catch, whereas at least you get the opportunity to bring out the ball, maybe create a dynamic play, and more schematic advantages for people that play their best players on the kickoff and kickoff return team. I love it. I love it. Any way you can get another football play, I'm down. Instead of just watching that hand in the air. I don't want to see that shit no more, man. Why even have the play? Just put it on like they do in Pee Wee. Put it on the 35 and let them go. This is awesome.
I agree.
A great rule for me. I want to see some kicks return for a touchdown that you're not expecting. Those are really exciting moments in a big game.
They absolutely are. And, this is a great timing with all this. If you look at the Hall of Fame elections, right, Devin Hester is in the Hall of Fame. If you watch NFL
and why?
Football, Devin Hester made a career out of returning kicks. And I think it's ironic that the NFL has shifted so much to trying to get touchbacks because they're trying to eliminate this. And now adding this flavor, I think, is really great. And you're going to see a lot of special teams coordinators coming up with some neat stuff in the NFL. And really just to kind of dive into it further. So we outlined the fact that you have the kickoff team on the opposing team's 35-yard line, the receiving team at the 30-yard line. They could put two returners back or one. We haven't seen what everyone's going to do there. But here's some of the breakdown a little bit further. Between the receiving team's 20-yard line and the end zone is what's being justified as the landing zone. Now, the landing zone's important because as soon as the ball either hits the ground or the receiving team touches it, it is considered live. So even once the ball is kicked off, you're not seeing that kickoff team move an inch. They're not allowed to move an inch until it either hits the ground.
Yeah.
Now, you asked me the question earlier, what happens if it hits the landing zone, rolls into the end zone, and a receiving team kind of falls on it? So a normal looking type play in the past that we've seen. Yeah. That ball is returned to the 30-yard line. So that's a big difference. Back last year, you were seeing touchbacks go to the 25. Now you're giving a team an additional 5 yards. So there really is an incentive to, if that ball is squib kicked, to be able to take possession of it and try to return it as much as possible.
You said the 30-yard line?
The 30-yard line. The receiving team, the ball at their own 30-yard line. So obviously if the kickoff goes out of bounds or if it lands short of the landing zone, so if you don't get it to the 20 or it goes out of bounds, the ball is placed at the 40-yard line of the receiving team. So,
all right, Andrew Anderson. Hey, man, if you're going to talk about just getting done with your show and being here, tell us about your show, man. This is time to market, brother.
Yes, sir. So, interesting twist on this, but really where we think this is going, and you can give Kirby Smart a lot of credit on this, is really you see college football watching this, and you could see this as early as 2025. So I want to get your perspective, Beav. Let's say it works well in the NFL this year, and this is implemented in NCAA Division I football in 2025. What's your thoughts on this from a college perspective?
Oh, yeah, do it now. I mean, they can make up their own rules. I mean, if they want to change some of those little nuances, like specifically where they line up, like when the ball is considered live, what happens when it goes into the end zone, college football can come up with their own specific rules, what they want to do. You know, if they wanted to change any of those, go for it. But I love it. I mean, bring the kickoff back to college football. Love to see it. Love to see that speed discrepancy. I mean, people like Ted Ginn wouldn't be who they are without a couple kickoff returns for a touchdown, right?
Yes, sir. In my opinion, I actually think this rule plays better in college than the NFL because if you watch the majority of FBS games, to be honest, these kickers, they can't kick it through the back of the end zone.
There we
don't
go.
have the leg strength.
There we go, Andrew Anderson. We have some new people on our show, and it was great. But I'm here to support you, brother. College Sports Villains supports Big Ten backers. There we are.
And
hey,
vice
likewise,
versa.
man. Likewise.
Well, go catch College Sports Villains on your favorite streaming network. Go figure it out. Go listen to them.
Yeah, download it now.
Absolutely.
And speaking of that, download us. Hit those likes, hit those shares, hit those subscribes. We got to get you one more commercial because this is going to be a relatively short show. So when we come back, we got our Big Ten backers' best quickies. And Matt has some of his own. Vegas Matt, baby. Bring in the goods. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get it a little colder now that we got it all spiced up and bring in the
Icy Breeze is the world's first portable air conditioner and cooler. A premium ice cooler that doubles as an eco-friendly portable air conditioner. This is not a swamp cooler just blowing air across ice. Over 60 parts and components allow Icy Breeze to achieve what no other product in the world can do. The secret behind the Icy Breeze is an innovative design that circulates chilled ice water through a heat exchanger in the lid, replacing the Freon used in most ACs. Fresh air is drawn from hidden vents in the top of the cooler, pulled across the exchanger, and chilled down to 35 degrees cooler than the outside air. A 3-speed fan control delivers Icy Breeze's dry, cold air up to 25 miles per hour, just like a car AC. And a stay-put flex hose directs the breeze in any direction. Wherever you need it, Icy Breeze helps you beat the heat.
We are back, Big Ten backers. We got spicy. Now we're all cooled off with Icy Breeze. So go get you some before these hot baseball games. I know you're all going to need it. Baseball, softball, soccer, whatever outdoors. Blow that cold air on you. Let's go. All right, Matt. You got some quickies for us. Bring those quickies. Some recruiting quickies, right? Everyone loves a quickie. Dude, I can't hear you. You got muted somehow.
Yeah, sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah, we're gonna stick to the round ball here since it's March, and we're gonna talk Indiana Hoosiers basketball.
Talk to me, Goose.
Landing a 5-star recruit in Bryson Tucker today. So that Indiana program that's kind of been down in the dumps for a while. We're not used to Hoosier basketball being that way. Picking up a 5-star recruit's a really good get. Really good get for them.
And what about that 5-star going to USC? 2 5-star defensive linemen, right?
Yeah, boy. I'm just going to assume Lincoln Riley listens to the Big Ten Backers podcast and all the bashing we've done on their defense, because not only did he flip the 5-star defensive lineman Justice Terry from Georgia, but also today lands the top 100 edge rusher in Isaiah Gibson. So you're really seeing that change in defensive coordinator, Lynn, really recruiting hard, and maybe finally for once Lincoln Riley will have a comparable defense, and it'd be interesting to see what his team can do with one.
Shared hard to 5K people on Villains and my 5K X followers. Damn, boy, Andrew, doing big work.
Bringing the
Thank you, brother.
heat, man. Bringing the heat.
I knew it was shared. Yeah, he's sharing it for us. He's getting us all over. He's spreading Big Ten backers across everyone's face.
Yeah.
In and around their eyes.
The last one, man, real quick, but I do want to get your opinion on this. This has kind of been in the news a lot, and you've seen some things swirl around it. The news around Deion Sanders in regards to his son, Shadir, and also Hunter, a 5-star recruit, talking about how he's going to guide or shift his players to choose certain teams. Reference Eli Manning, if we all know that Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning basically said, I'm not going to the San Diego Chargers, and facilitated a trade on draft night to get to the New York Giants. 2 Super Bowls later, the rest is history. But you're seeing a lot of news about this. So curious what you think that could do potentially with his recruiting value, how his son's going to handle that with the NFL, because the NFL don't take too kindly to stuff like that. So kind of what's your thoughts from Deion's perspective here?
I mean, it seems almost.
I know
it's risky, man. I get it. You know, he has a name and a football name, and he has a brand. So sometimes you can get away with it if you have a brand, but it sounds risky to pick and choose and tell owners, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because you haven't even been picked yet. It's worked in the past. I mean, some people can get away with it. Others will be labeled as an issue. I think Shedeur Sanders needs to get through this year, show what he can do with a somewhat rebuilt offensive line that doesn't get him sacked every 5 seconds. I think he was the most sacked quarterback in college football last year, I believe. But he still managed to come away and have some crazy stats, which is awesome. I mean, his escapability is awesome. So maybe he is that generational player. Maybe he brings the Heisman back to Colorado, man. The Buffaloes get their Heisman, and he can name his team. Maybe he does. I don't know. It's just not. It's not my style. I don't think that's something that I would do. I'd be like, I'm glad to be in the NFL, so take me. But of course, my dad's not Deion Sanders.
That's true. Only curious again because you're seeing a college football angle to this. You know, I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Now, I don't think Shador is going to be a top 5 draft pick, but who knows? To your point, they fix that offensive line. He starts balling out. I mean, he could.
Spencer Rattler was the most sacked.
I believe that. I watched a couple
Gamecocks.
Well, if you watch that North Carolina South Carolina game last year, literally the entire second half, Spencer Rattler was running for his life. Like
what's up, Sarah? Sarah Hancock's joining the show.
Hey, Sarah. But
all right.
Yeah, just wanted to get your perspective on it. I think it's a cool thing to watch next year, especially if it does work. Very interesting how that can play with recruiting in 25 and beyond.
Yeah, it's a little early for something like that to be even said, and weird timing, but, you know, whatever. Maybe it's trying to influence Caleb Williams a little bit to do what he wants to. My guess. That's my guess. Rattler sure was Andrew Anderson. Rattler was on his back all season.
Yes, he was. Yes. Well,
that's all right. The other thing we got to get into a little bit, man. Ice Cube says the Big 3 tournament is going to take on Caitlin Clark for a historic $5 million offer to play 3-on-3 basketball. Man, all right. That's a lot of money to spend, and he says she's worth it, man. What do you think about that?
She is.
She's a hot name. You better jump on it while you can.
But not only that, I mean, you look at how her game could translate. She's a pure shooter. I mean, she can do a lot of other things, but she's a phenomenal shooter. So that is a part of her game that could translate to this. So I don't think it's a lot of fluff. I think it is. Also, if we're gonna bring a betting angle in to Caitlin Clark, I'll
hold on. We gotta stop. We gotta stop right there. This is good. Andrew Anderson, Rattler was like all the sex I've ever had, unprotected.
Positive contribution.
You just broke the internet.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. And you know, we love
right up my alley.
South Carolina football for sure. But no, just real quick, you know, Caitlin Clark is dominating women's college basketball. She should. She's phenomenal. But
changing the sport forever.
I was listening to VSiN this week, and they're talking about how the Iowa games are being so bet because everybody's watching her that these lines are jumping unrealistically into the point now where you're starting to see a lot of the sharps betting against Iowa. And it's not because they think Iowa's going to lose. It's because the point spread, you know, starts at -9, jumps to -16. And
getting too ridiculous.
Well, yeah. So you're actually paying the Caitlin Clark tax is what they're calling it in Vegas. So not that I have any real knowledge on women's college basketball. I'm not going to encourage any type of betting there, but I thought that was a really interesting stat if we're going to go Vegas betting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever. Did you hear about Michigan State apparently having sports betting kiosks in their stadium?
I did not read that article, but let's be honest, isn't it only a matter of time?
Oh yeah, all that stuff's coming.
Which is funny because
until they start cracking down on stuff like that.
Well, so you know, interesting thing with I know in the state of Ohio, I listen to a lot of Ohio sports radio. So in Ohio, they do have legalized sports gambling. However, there are no player prop bets in college basketball in the NCAA tournament. You're having Charlie Baker come out and saying that they should really ban prop bets on all college players, and he is the NCAA president at this current point in time. So What is your feel on prop bets on individual players? You see it quite a bit in major sports. What's your feeling at the NCAA level?
I think it's opening up a can that might cause a little bit too much drama. I don't even really like college sports. I just worry about betting sometimes. If it takes too much, then where there's betting, someone's liable to get bought, you know?
So I'll give you a great story around that, right? Alabama LSU baseball game last year. And I'm talking baseball, not football, baseball. There was unusual betting activity from somebody in Cincinnati, Ohio. The guy got busted for it, and they caught him and they did it. And I say that story to you because the second you start seeing,
because you were that guy.
I have only been forced into this city of Cincinnati. I do not acknowledge it as part of the great state of Ohio. But no, I was not that guy. But I tell you that story to say that these prop bets are followed meticulously. All these betting apps track where the money's going. If they're starting to see a rise, it's why is there a rise? Let's look into this rise. They take this very seriously. So anybody that wants to say, okay, betting is bad for sports or betting is going to lead to shaving points or any of this nonsense, no, it's not. These sites take it extremely seriously. With that being said, I am comfortable with not props on college players. I just don't think it fits really well in the college sports. Leave it to majors. I'm fine with that, but just an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
Why is that a big deal versus betting on the game?
I think the game, you're probably not going to see one player, if they ever do get affected by bettors or something like that, really affect a game. That's probably
where the prop bet could.
Well, a prop bet, if I'm over under 5.5 receptions and I'm at 5 and somebody got to me, and in the fourth quarter of a game where I'm up by
drop the pass, Yeah.
I mean, go read a great story about the Raptors player and things that have gone on with his props, and this just happened within the last week. So again, I give you those kind of stories to say that they really meticulously follow these things. However, I just don't think it's ready for college football yet.
All right, Big Ten backers. We got a little bit of a short show, but we went over last time. So, hey, what goes around comes around. So, before we get out of here, we got to give you that college football dogs, man. This is brought on only by the College Football Dogs Media Network. So, here you go. A little bit of their commercial. Go follow them.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12-plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
Welcome back, Big Ten backers. You're back, but we are out. God bless. Take care. Love y'all. Join us, follow us, like us, subscribe, share the shit. Let's go.